Hello and welcome, this is Rooflemonger, and we have another installment in our tips and tricks series, this time for the Black Widow. So in this, as always, we're going to be going over command normals, specials, supers, and the like. I'm going to be talking about her unique debuff, the electricity debuff, and some general game plan stuff. So without any further ado, let's get into it. So first up for the command normals, let's talk about straight shot. That is forward and light punch. Now, I actually consider this a really good command normal. So first off, it looks low and it hits low. I know that's a bit of an obvious thing, but a lot of moves in this game look like they're overhead or low and don't hit either. So one of the things about this is, and I'll just turn on damage value so you can see here, it does 500 damage, which is more than either of the other lights. So it is a light attack by definition by being a forward and light button. So it's the most damaging light, and it's got a bit of range as you can see here. So I'm kind of hitting the edge of his toes, but way further away than I can hit with one of these. And it is totally cancelable into the rest of the magic series, so you can just go like forward light, fierce, fierce. And there's 3-hit combo. So with that in mind, with the fact of its range, you can even dash in and then go for the magic series. So we can go dash in that, and then cancel into the fierce punch, which extends out quite a bit, and then the fierce kick, which extends out quite a bit. And see here, and you just kind of go from there into whatever combo of your choice. So its main use is for the range, and the range is really good. I can't really say much more than that. Next up is Twin Strike, and that's forward fierce punch, and this move is an overhead, and it's pretty good. Not really much more I can really say. It's an overhead. You do get a combo afterwards, so you can do whatever you want pretty much, and that's really all there is to it. It's not too complex. Overhead, they don't block standing, free combo for you. Now, twirl kick's an interesting one. That's forward fierce kick. So, you see here, it's a big old spinning kick and knocks the opponent in the air. And what makes it worthwhile is not so much for the kick, but the fact that it leaves you airborne. So you can go for it, and then say we're going to use quarter circle forward punch, light punch that is. And if we do it right after, we're doing the airborne version of the move. And I got a bit ahead of myself for a second there. So one thing you can do with that is you can cancel out before the kick even connects and still do your airborne move, as you see here. So normally if I want to do that projectile in the air, if I do a normal jump and go for it, it's going to be higher up. Even if I do a tiger knee, it's going to be higher up. But if I just want to do it through the forward fierce kick, that's basically as low to the ground as you can get it. And that's what makes this move useful. So next up is slide, and pretty much it's exactly what it says it is. So it's diagonal, down, forward, and fierce kick, and you do a slide. So it causes a bit of a launch up, identical to a normal sweep. And you can either just choose to do combo extensions with sweep or with slide. Shot is definitely your pound for pound best command normal. So that's just down and fierce punch in the air, and she shoots a gunshot. Now she already has that shot, but this one's a lot more versatile, simply because of the angle, if anything else. So this is what we can kind of call a disjointed hitbox. So if we do it, by the way, keep in mind this is reflectable. So you can see right there, that is totally reflectable. But what it does is kind of lets you start your attack a lot earlier, because we can just go into a magic series afterwards. So say we're going to do it here and shoot, and we're going to do it at the start of our jump, so like this. Now when we recover, we're already still in the middle of the air, so we can go something like this now. And we get our second aerial attack. So we have 2 chances at an aerial attack. And if it hits, then it's full combo time. So it really lets you get, a very safe approach on for the most part. Because while it is reflectable, it's quick enough that it's difficult to reflect, on reaction. So not everyone's going to be doing it right away. And it just lets you get 2 chances at an approach in both this and the fierce kick. And also, if you're in the more desperate sense, it's not even the worst for runaway. You do have a couple other options to cover your approach, but this is the only one that covers this exact angle. Now our final move here for the command normals is quick line. That's down and fierce kick in the air. So it's kind of what it looks like. She kind of zips down to the ground, just kind of like a Just Cause if you ever played that. And also has a hitbox, so it can hit the foe. And in fact, it's quite important for some more advanced combos that'll keep the foe airborne and kind of reset your positioning in the air to keep you comboing them. Now, one little thing to note here, this move does have input leniency. So it also works with down forward and down back fierce kick. Now onto the special move front. First up, we're going to start with the Widow series. These are all quarter circle forward and one of the 4 attack buttons, and these are all arrow K. So first up, we have the Widow's Bite. That's the light punch. That is a big old electrical thing here, and it gives a debuff, and the debuff will have its own section, so I'll talk about that more in a little bit. So it does not go full screen. Doesn't matter if it's the air or not. It does not go full screen. And if you shoot a second one, by the way, it will remove the current active one. And as you see here, it explodes. That bit right there is active. It stays on screen for a little bit, and it will control that screen. If they walk into it, they will get hit. So its main use is to apply the debuff. And once again, we'll go over that in a little bit. And, you know, it's decent damage. Now, this is one of the more fun ones here. Next up is the Widowmaker. That's Fierce Punch. So that's the landmine. And see here, it hits and it explodes after a little bit. Now, one very important thing to know about this landmine here is it applies even when they block. So Iron Man blocked that clear as day, and that mine's still connected. So one thing also, now that we just mentioned that, if it is applied, if you get hit, it's going to go away. But, so, this is really fantastic. One, it's good for combo extensions, because quite a bit of combos where you can have the phone airborne. You can use your heavy kick in the air to spike them down, and right before they hit the ground, the landmine explosion will bounce them back up, and you can keep recomboing them. And it's just good for really defensive people. If you know for a fact they're just going to block something, toss it on, give them something to pressure about, you know, worry about, sweat about, you know, make them have to come to you to want to get it off, or they got to hold down back the whole time, and, or, you know, regular back, and just play it out defensively while it does what it needs to do. Now, just like the Widow's Bite, Widowmaker goes straight ahead in the air. Now, next up, the light kick version, which is maybe her pound for pound best move, is the Widow's Kiss. So that's this little gas mine here. So when it hits, it puts the enemy into what we call a capture state. So there's no shaking out, there's no nothing. Once it hits, we get a combo. But if you quickly note here, so I'm going to do Fierce Punch. Now I'm going to hit him in the gas trap and Fierce Punch again. You see they're a bit airborne. So you can't do your normal combo structure once you hit him with the gas trap. You will need to figure out a bit of a combo that's more tailored for this, because they're going to be in the airborne state, and not all the same things are going to work. So on the ground, on the air, same deal. But one thing to note here is it counts as a grenade, so it will bounce off walls. So you see here, it kind of bounced off the wall and hit Iron Man. So if you're near a corner, keep that in mind, and sometimes you might that's exactly what you want, but keep it in mind. It is really good with Space Stone, because you can force people into the gas trap against their will. It does not last very long, but there's no real avoiding it. It's, you know, there's no way to trick your way out of it. It hits, if not, and she recovers right away. Like, it doesn't cost her anything just to toss one of these out, really. It's a big part of her game plan. And the final Widow's move is the Widow's Line. If you're a fan of Mortal Kombat, it's probably a little reminiscent, because it's basically a big scorpion spear. She tosses out her line, and she pulls you in. Same deal in the air. It's very lateral, so no directions, and they'll pull you in. So you can use this for combo structures. So say we go pull you in. Oh, let's try it again. And then we can go for whatever else you'd like. It's not as important as some of the other Widow moves, but it has its uses. Shock Bite is the next special move. That's quarter circle backwards, light punch, or fierce punch. And here he does a bit of a different punch here. So on its own, a bit of a knockback here, and the fierce punch version also knocks back a bit further. These are meant to use the electric debuff, and skip ahead a little bit and I'll show you that in the next section. Now, Strike Vector. This is a really fun one. So Strike Vector is both kicks, and she does a bit of a command jump. Now, when you're on the ground, if you just hit it, no directions, she'll do a jump forward, and she jumps a fair bit. If you hit backwards, she'll kind of do a cartwheel backwards. You can also do it in the air. So the airborne version, much the same, and if you do it backwards in the air, once again, much the same. So if you remember just me talking about the Widow's moves, it's exactly how that works. So each corresponding button will do that exact Widow attack. So command jump light punch is the shock. Command jump fierce punch is the mine. Command jump light kick is your gas mine. And command jump fierce punch is, well, it's not quite the forward zip line, but it is the aerial down version. And you can do that both, you know, jumping forward and jumping away. There's slightly different animations for the light punch, but other than that, it's the same for the other three. But yeah, all 4 Widow moves are represented in this, and it gives her a lot of fun mobility options. You know, you can play keep away, and if they're chasing you, they might run into it. You can be very aggressive with the gas mines here. You can really play with some of that wall bounce on the grenades when you cover these giant jump arcs. Or you can just really fake them out, go for a jump, and go right in with the zip line. Spark Rush is performed by hitting down, down, and Light Punch or Fierce Punch. And see here, there are 2 slightly different moves. So the Light Punch knocks the foe down and also gives you an OTG. So you can pick them up off the ground to keep your combo going. The Heavy Punch version is a bit of a launcher. And one thing to note here, the Heavy Punch version also has a bit of invincibility to it. So keep that in mind. Now both these also apply the electricity debuff. And our final special move here is the Covert Catch. That's Cortical Back and Light Kick or Fierce Kick. The Fierce Kick is your more traditional style command grab. And one thing to note here, first off, it does apply the electricity debuff. And secondly, you are allowed a bit of an OTG follow-up. If you are a little quicker than that. Let's try that one more time. There we go. So you can get a bit of a follow-up here as you see. And it is also air okay. So you can do that and catch a foe in the air. Now the Light Kick version is definitely a little more interesting because it's not quite as traditional as the Heavy Kick version. Light Kick version, she leaps up in the air, so this one is meant to catch people in the air. And also, once again, applies the electricity debuff. And if you do it in the air, because just like the Heavy Kick version, it's air okay, she actually dives in and catches a grounded foe. So this move is not blockable. This is a true command throw. So here, I'll just show you. I'm gonna set guard to all. Predictable. And you get grabbed. So this is a lot scarier. So you can do like a regular approach here, force people to want to block, and then you can just kind of fly in and go for it right there. Now, you can't really get a follow-up by yourself. You see here? But what you can do is right before you do the move, you can do the move and then tag out right away. And at which point, you can get a follow-up. So you get your grab, and then the partner can get a follow-up, as you can see there. So it's a very important move for breaking people's defenses open, especially the Light Kick jumping one, because it hits at such an angle that most command grabs, you know, generally the command grab threat range is right here when you're both on the ground, and she can kind of circumvent all that by having her aerial grab. Now, for super moves, the first one up here we have is Shock Therapy. Now, this will be the super you're going to be using 90% of the time, more than likely, as it's your main combo ender. It's Cortical forward both punches, and she'll hit you with a big flurry of punches, and, you know, give you a big old punch, really. Not too complex. This move also will use the electric debuff, just so you know. Now, she also has a level 1 super command grab, which is Cortical back and both punches. So see here, she just goes for a quick command grab motion, and if it hits, she'll get a bit of a follow-up. And does a fair chunk of damage for command grab super and applies the electric debuff. Now, one key thing to note about this is her only invincible level 1 super. So the startup is completely invincible till the grab's active. So if you miss the grab, yeah, you'll get hit, sure. But as long as they're within range, you will invincibility pass all, whatever they're throwing at you, and you will grab them and get your damage in. And finally, we have the level 3, and as usual here, level 3, nothing special. The animation looks cool. She uses the 2 batons to hit, but has no real amount of range. Invincible as always. And then she does her best Rey Mysterio impression as she goes for a big old Hurricane Run. Now, I mentioned it enough times, so let's talk about the electric debuff. So, the electric debuff is applied with any move that uses the baton. So, it could be your down punch moves, it could be your command grab, it could be your special command grab, your level 1. Anything that uses the baton is going to apply it. And also, your Cortical forward light punch Widow move will also apply the electric debuff. And that also counts from the backdash. Now, what this does is not too complex. So you have 3 moves that burn it to make use of it. First up are your shock bites, both light punch and heavy punch, and it's a bit different. So the light punch version of shock bite will cause a crumple. So normally this move It's just a bit of a blowback, but there's no crumple state. So when you have it on the debuff, you get your crumple. And it's very similar crumple to the gas mine, so they will be airborne, so you gotta watch, what combo you're doing, because the normal stuff won't work. Now, as for the heavy punch version, we get a wall bounce off of it. And that's very big. And keep in mind too, I'm just gonna show you the damage values. Both of these have increased damage. So normally, that does 1200 damage, which is respectable for a single move. And we change it up, and now we're at 1500 plus wall bounce. And it's a very useful wall bounce because it's not too high up. It's the kind of wall bounce that you can get in, still do your normal combos in the corner without them going over your head, so that's really handy. And finally, the punch super. So normally the punch super
This will wake you up.
does just shy more of 3000. But when we apply the electricity debuff,
Your mistake. This will wake you up.
see here it does 500 more damage. That's quite significant. It's a good chunk of extra damage, especially at the end of a combo, where the scaling is going to hit the hardest. So generally you do want to make sure when you're ending a combo, either end it with baton, or somewhere early in the combo you did your shock. Just something to make sure you end it and they have that debuff so you can get your extra damage in. Now let's talk her general game plan. Despite the fact Widow doesn't have flight, she doesn't even have an air dash, I still consider her quite a mobile character, and that's thanks to her command flip. So once again, that's just both kicks, and she has a lot of air control here. So she can choose to flip forward, flip backwards, and she can really be annoying with all the projectiles she can toss out. And one of the most important, which is that gas mine, because one stray hit into it, one stray touch of it, you're got, and it's combo time. But since she has this, and granted it doesn't really have any amount of invincibility, so it's not going to save your skin or anything, but the fact she has that, you consider that, I can still super jump into it. So I can still cover a lot of screen when I need to. And just her general stuff, she's got very pokey stuff. I love her down heavy punch, command normal, the gunshot here, because it's just so good for approaching and being safe. And it's good for, harass, keep away. She's just a very, I guess the term I look for, it's a very squiggly kind of character. Like, it's hard to get a, lay a hand on her. She can be very quick. She got a decent wave dash too. Her walk speed's pretty good. I know walk speed's not as important in Marvel, but it's still better than, not having a decent walk speed. She's unfortunately low health character, so can't really afford to take the hits, but she can hit from a lot of weird angles. And like I said, just once again, I'm going to really harp on that gas trap. That gas trap's so good. As long as you're not in immediate threat of being hit, you should always try to have at least a gas trap on the screen, because any one stray hit, that crumple state lasts a fair bit. You will always have time to get in, no matter what. Even if you're full screen, you will always have time to do a quick wave dash and get that combo. So as long as you have always one of those up, you can fill the screen with a lot of garbage. You can make people really scared with the landmine, because once again, you are not allowed to block the move. Like, you can do the block animation, sure, but it's still going to hit you. So you can really frustrate people, force them on the defense, because then, they have to worry about the landmine. And if they try to get too aggressive without actually hitting you, the landmine's going to go off in their face, and, then you get your aggressive follow-up after that. But yeah, she's just very fluid. Always going to keep moving. She's, definitely like the antithesis of, say, like a Hager. Hager just going to sit and let you, overextend, kill yourself, and then do any number of his invincible stuff to beat you up. She's not quite the case. And on that note, she's not completely helpless against pressure. This has invincibility. The down, fierce punch. It's not a lot of invincibility, but there is some, and she also has an invisible command grab. So when it comes to defending herself, she's not completely hopeless. She has a fair bit. And the command grab does a good chunk of damage, and for the down, fierce punch, as long as it hits, even if you're not in the most optimal state of mind, it's still fairly easy to follow up and get, whatever. It's not going to be necessarily the most damaging combos if you're not, immediately thinking about it, but it's still better than nothing. So that concludes our video for now. I gotta say, honestly, it was a bit tricky for me to learn her. A character like this, very fast, very tricky, a lot of mobility, is very out of my wheelhouse, because I play, big, dumb, slow characters like Sigma and Hagar, right? But I gotta say, I did have fun with her. I love the gas trap. It's so good. You gotta use and abuse this. If you don't have any pink smoke on your screen at any one given time, I feel like you're almost doing it wrong, because the reward for throwing it out is so big if it gets hit, and it's like near nil risk for just trying it. So you got to use and abuse that, because that's definitely one of the cornerstones for success. Anyways, thank you very much for watching. I hope this video found you well. Go out and play some Marvel.